أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلوات ربي والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا وحبيبنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وسلم تسليما كثيرا أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. We thank Allah the Almighty, the creator of the heaven and the earth, and the one who has created absolutely everything and he has not been created, and the one who sent the last and final messenger of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to the mankind. And Allah chose us to be Muslims. This is the blessing of Allah, and we thank Him and worshiping Him alone. Inshallah, my dear brothers and sisters, we are going to continue our lessons of seerah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Last time we mentioned the clash of the Battle of Badr. We took some incident and talked about those incidents, and we talked about what happened to Abu Jahl, what happened to Umayyah ibn Khalaf, and what happened to so many Quraysh, the leaders, what happened to them, and like a Sheik ibn Rabi'a and Utbah ibn Rabi'a and so forth. So, and now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we mentioned that Allah Azza wa Jal used this Badr, this fight of Badr, as a furqan, meaning the criterion between false and truth, the criterion between night and day, the criterion between Islam and disbelieving. So Badr showed, this fight was a way to show who were upon the truth. And Allah said in Quran, وَإِذْ زَيَّنَ لَهُمُ الشَّيْطَانُ أَعْمَالَهُمْ وَقَالَ لَا غَالِبَ لَكُمُ الْيَوْمِ مِنَ النَّاسِ وَإِنِّي جَارٌ لَكُمْ فَلَمَّا تَرَاعَتِ الْفِئَتَانِ نكس على عقبيه وقال إني بريء منكم وإني أرى ما لا ترون إني أخاف الله والله شديد العقاب. So remember, we pretty much we talk about this ayah when Shaitan told the Quraysh, he disguised himself to be Suraq ibn Malik. We talk about that. So in this disguising, so Shaitan told Quraysh that he's willing to help them in the fight and he's willing to protect them. So the minute he saw the angels coming down on the morning of the Badr, he turned around and started running. So he fled. So while he was fleeing, this is what he said. He said, "Oh, I fear Allah. I see things that you guys don't see." So he ran away. And in this Badr, for the first time since Allah created the earth, for the first time, Jibril alayhi salam, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, Umar, Ali, Abu Bakr, and many other Sahaba gather in one place. And at the same time, in the other side, Iblis himself, Abu Jahl, and other leaders of Quraysh in another side. Literally, like you have a Jibril and thousands of angels and Prophet himself and his companion in one side. And in the other side, you have Shaitan, Iblis, and Abu Jahl and other in the other side. Like finding all this entity, all these people in one place at the same time, that was the first time, in the history of the humanity. And Allah gave the victory to Muslims. That's what Prophet ﷺ said. He said, the day of the Badr, the Shaitan was never humiliated more than that day. Because he thought this Islam thing would be over, because the Muslims were only 315. But the fact that Allah gave Muslim victory on that day, Shaitan was never been more humiliated than that day. So Allah said that Shaitan ran away, and he said, I see things that you don't see, and I fear Allah, and know that there's no doubt when Allah's punishment is very severe. And he ran away and left these disbelievers at the Badr, and he left them. Allahu Akbar. So this is exactly what Shaitan do to people. You follow him, he would promise to you that he's willing to help you, he would do this, he would do that, but at the end of the day, he'll run and leave you behind. This was one of the best examples that Allah gave here. Even in Yom al-Qiyamah, day of resurrection, Shaitan would, he would have a sermon. He would recite a sermon saying, Allah promised you a good promise, and I'll also promise you, but Allah promise is true, and my promise was just a lie. I didn't do anything, I just told you to follow me, and you follow me. So don't blame me, blame yourself. This is what Shaitan would tell people in the day of resurrection. Allahu Akbar. So this is one of his exposure. Allah exposed him in this day, on the day of Badr, by saying all he was doing is a lie. He would not help you. You see how he's running away the minute he saw angels coming. He left you. This is exactly how Shaitan deceives people. Allahu Akbar. So be careful of Shaitan. Don't follow khutuwat of Shaitan. Don't follow the Shaitan footsteps. And so in the Badr, around 70 were killed from the Quraysh side. 70 people were killed, and about 73 to 74 people were prisoners of the war. And so literally this is about 15% of Quraysh army that got killed, because there were about 1,000 of them. So if 70 people were killed and 75 people were taken as a prisoner, so it is like 15% of Quraysh. So literally it's like 15% of Quraysh were killed. But as for Muslim, only 15 people out of 315 people, only 15 people became murdered, became shaheed. So that's more like maybe about 5% or less than 5% of Muslims that became murdered in this day. So Prophet ﷺ remained in the plain of Badr for 3 days. Prophet ﷺ stayed in the plain, like in the area of the Badr, for 3 days. After became victorious, after killing the Muslim, killing 70 people of Quraysh and taking 75 people as a hostage, as a prisoner of war, Prophet ﷺ and the Sahaba, they stayed at the plain of the Badr for 3 days. Why? Why Prophet stayed for 3 days? There's some reason why he stayed behind. First and foremost, is to show the Quraysh without a shadow of doubt that Islam and Muslim are the victorious. So they stayed in the plain of Badr for 3 days to show the Quraysh that they are the victorious. And Quraysh, they do nothing but run away. And they could not even dare to come back. So that's why Prophet stayed behind, to show that Muslims are victorious and that the Islam is here to stay. That's one reason why. And the second reason why Muslims stay behind, because all this body, including the body of the disbelievers, so they have to be buried. All these bodies that die in this war has to be buried. So Prophet stayed behind for 3 days. That way he could bury all this body. So as for Muslim, only 15 people became murdered. So each Muslim has their own grave. The Sahaba dig 15 graves and put each Muslim that became shaheed, they all have their own grave. But as for Quraysh, the disbelievers, there are some some empty wells, like small wells, and the Sahaba took the bodies of this Quraysh and put inside the wells. They drag all these bodies, all these 74 people's body, and put it in the well and close the well. But I saw one person, we talked about it last time, and we said only him could not be buried. Why? Because what he did to Bilal, the former master of Bilal, Umayy ibn Khalaf. We said that for the fact that he used to punish Bilal, he would put Bilal's back in the burning coal and put a big rock on his chest. Allah is punishing this guy. So when Umayy ibn Khalaf, when he got killed, we said that his body was on top of the pebbles, like a bunch of rocks, and the rock would melt his back. So when they were trying to remove him and put him on the grave, on this well, you see all the rock that he was laying on. So the rock, his body, or meaning his skin, would be left on the rock, on the pebbles. So all his skin became rotten, spoiled, disgusting, decomposed. So the Muslim decided, just leave him there and cover him with more pebbles. So they bring a lot of rocks and pebbles and cover his body with it. How humiliated that was. Allahu Akbar. So only him was, covered like that. But so the remaining of the Quraysh, the disbeliever, they all were dragged and put it on this empty wells and cover it. So after at the third days, Prophet ﷺ now, when he's leaving the Badr with the Sahaba, he passed by this well where all these mushrikun, where all these disbelievers were putting inside. Prophet ﷺ, he went toward this well and he stopped by the well. All the Sahaba followed the caravan. So when Prophet ﷺ came to this well, he started talking and he started naming Quraysh, the leader of the Quraysh, by their name, each of them. And he would say, "Oh ya Aba Jahl, hal wajadta ma wa'ada rabbuka haqqa?" Oh Abu Jahl, did you find what your Lord has promised to you to be true? Because we found what our Lord, Allah, promised us. Allah promised us victory and Allah gave us victory. We got the victory. So Allah promised to us was true. What about you? Did you find what Allah promised you to be true? Meaning Allah promised them hellfire. So, and Prophet would move on to the next one. He would say, "Oh, ya Shayba, no Rabi'a, hal wajadta ma wa'ada rabbuka haqqa?" Then he would go and call each leaders of the Quraysh by their names. So Umar ibn al-Khattab was so amazed. He said, "Oh Prophet, you talking to dead bodies. They can't even hear you." And this is what Prophet ﷺ said. He said, "Oh yeah, Umar, I swear by the one in which my soul is in his hand," meaning I swear by Allah, these people, this dead body, right now, they could absolutely hear me like the way you can now as we speak. They can hear me like you can hear me. The only difference is they cannot talk back. Otherwise, they could definitely hear me what I'm saying to them. So we're gonna pause here because of some Islamic law. So because of this hadith, and you find this hadith in Bukhari, Prophet Umar asked Prophet, "So this dead body can hear you? You're talking to them, you think they can?" The Prophet said, "Absolutely. Right now they can hear me like you can hear me. But they could not just respond." So because of this hadith, many Sahaba differ. So the question would be, can the dead body hear you when you talk to them? Someone who's already passed away, they're in their grave. Can they hear you? Can they hear you when you go visit them and talk to them? Can they hear you what you're saying? Many Sahaba differ. Some Sahaba say yes, some Sahaba said no. So amongst some Sahaba who say absolutely the dead body could hear are Ibn Umar, the son of Umar. So Ibn Umar said in one of his hadiths, he said in one of Prophet ﷺ hadith, Ibn Umar said that Prophet said, when a person passed away and his family keep wailing on him, meaning the family, some family, once someone passed away, the family would start crying. Not only they would cry, but they would say some really horrible words by saying, "Oh my God, we doomed for life. There's nothing for us here. How come God do that to us?" So they would say this horrible thing. They wailing by saying bad things. So that when the family of the dead body, of the deceased, start wailing over the dead body, so the dead body would get some punishment because of the family's wailing. So Ibn Umar said this hadith. So that means the dead body would get some punishment. So meaning he could, so he used this as one of his evidence. And some other scholars also said that the dead body could hear. Among them are Ibn Taymiyyah and his students, Ibn Qayyim al-Jawzi. He also said the dead could hear. So, a lot of scholars, even Ibn Kathir and many of them said that the dead could hear. So all they use is this hadith of Prophet ﷺ that in the day of Badr, when Prophet talked to the dead body by telling them, did you find the promise of Allah to be true? And Umar asked Prophet, can they hear you? Prophet said, absolutely, they can hear you they can hear me right now like you can hear me. So many of the scholars take this hadith to use it, to say that dead body could definitely hear someone when you go visit them or talk to them. And those who said no, the dead body cannot hear, among those people are the wife of Prophet himself, Aisha radiallahu anha. Aisha said no, dead body cannot hear anything. Once you're dead, that's it, you're done. You're gone. Even if someone come visit you at the grave, you talk. Even if the person talk to a dead body cannot hear anything. And this is what she come up with. She come up with a lot of evidence from the Quran. And some of her evidence, she said, did you read? This is what Aisha is saying. Aisha said, did you read from Surah Al-Fatih, verse 22, ayah 22? Allah said, وَمَا يَسْتَوِي الْأَحْيَاءُ وَالْأَمْوَاتِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَسْمَعُ مَنْ يَشَاءُ وَمَا أَنْتَ بِمُسْمِعٍ مَنْ فِي الْقُبُورِ. He said, Allah said in Surah Al-Fatih, وَمَا يَسْتَوِي الْأَحْيَاءُ وَالْأَمْوَاتِ. Those who are alive and those who are dead are not the same. إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَسْمَعُ مَنْ يَشَاءُ. Allah can hear anything that He wants to. Allah can hear everything. وَمَا أَنْتَ, O you Muhammad, بِمُسْمِعٍ مَنْ فِي الْقُبُورِ. You cannot make someone in the grave to hear you. You cannot make them hear what you're saying. You see, this is the evidence from the Quran that a dead body cannot hear. This is what Aisha said in Surah Al-Fatih. And she also says, and so another evidence they use, those who said dead body cannot hear, they use another evidence from the Quran and from Surah Al-Rum, verse 52. When Allah said, فَإِنَّكَ لَا تُسْمِعُ الْمَوْتَى وَلَا تُسْمِعُ ثُمَّ الدُّعَاء إِذَا وَلَّوْا مُدْبِرِينَ. فَإِنَّكَ, O you Muhammad, لَا تُسْمِعُ الْمَوْتَى. You cannot make the dead body listen. You cannot make them hear you. وَلَا تُسْمِعُ الصُّمَّ الدُّعَاء. And you cannot, hear someone who cannot talk. Meaning someone who is deaf. A deaf person, you cannot make them hear you. Is wallahu mudbirin, especially when they turn their back. So this deaf person is simply, it's a connotation, meaning it's a symbolic meaning of someone who is disbelieving. So Allah compare a dead body to a disbeliever. Once you're a disbeliever, it is as much as you're a dead person. And if you're a believer, it is as much as you are a live person. You are a person who's living. But a dead person is the person whose heart is dead. So that person is as good as dead body as well. So in this ayah, Allah said, فَإِنَّكَ لَا تُسْمِعُ الْمَوْتَى. You cannot hear the dead people. You cannot make the dead people hear you. وَلَا تُسْمِعُ الصُّمَّ الدُّعَاء. And you cannot make the deaf person hear the calling. Is وَلَّوْ مُدْبِرِينَ, especially when they turn their back. So, and they use also this evidence. So another hadith, so there are several hadiths that talk about, that those who think the dead body could hear, they come up with some hadiths. And some of these hadiths, some of these hadiths suggest that if a dead can hear, for example, in Sahih Bukhari, they use this hadith, they said Prophet ﷺ said that the dead person will hear the footstep of those who bury him. So those who said the dead body can hear, they use this hadith from Bukhari, because in hadith of Bukhari, Prophet ﷺ said, when you bring a dead body to the grave, once you bury the dead body and you turn around and leave, so the dead person inside the grave can hear the footstep of those who buried him. So the ears from the top, because obviously the dead body would be laying on his right side, so the ears on the top would hear the footstep of those who bury him. So, and the other ears from the ground would hear the coming of the angels who would ask him in the grave. So they use this, many scholars who said the dead body can hear, they use this hadith to say, you see, even Prophet himself said that the dead person can hear the footstep of those who bury him. And another hadith they use by saying the dead person can hear, they said in hadith of Bukhari and Muslim that Prophet ﷺ, when he went to Baqiyah and he said, Assalamu alaikum ahla qawmin min al-muslimin wal-mu'minin. Oh, peace be upon you, oh people, that are Muslim and mu'min and believer, those who are Muslim and believer. So Prophet gave salam to these grave people who are already dead and they are in the graveyard. So when Prophet come to this cemetery and he said Assalamu alaikum, he said, oh, peace be upon you, oh you people of the Muslim and mu'min. So they use also this hadith to say, but if they cannot hear why Prophet would say Assalamu alaikum to them. See, and so Imam Suyuti and Ibn Kasir, Ibn Hazm, Ibn Taymiyyah, Ibn Qayyim, and many, they all think that the dead body can hear you. So, but yet a lot of Sahaba and a lot of Tabi'in, some of them said no, it cannot. They cannot hear you. You see, including Umar ibn Khattab, Aisha radiallahu anha, and other scholars, said no. So, and another hadith, Prophet ﷺ said, he said, whosoever said, send the salam to me, meaning when you pray on Prophet ﷺ, when you said, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammadin kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka hamidun majid. When you pray upon Prophet ﷺ, Prophet said that Allah would send an angel to take your salam and bring it to him. So, and every time someone said salam to Prophet, they pray upon Prophet, an angel would take that salam and bring it to Prophet ﷺ. So they also use this. Even Prophet himself can hear you. He can hear someone who would send their peace and blessing salat to Prophet ﷺ. So he would hear you, even though he already passed away. So they also use this as an evidence that the dead body can hear. So now, I told you that all the scholars said no, dead body cannot hear you. And some of them I told you, Aisha radiallahu anha and Umar ibn Khattab and some other scholars, and Sahaba. And this is what they said. They said, well, if you, I mean, if you have to use this ayah, the ayah that Allah said that the dead body cannot hear. They said, "In tusmi'u illa man yu'minu bi ayatina muslimun." You know, that's in Surah An-Naml, ayah 81. That Allah said, "In tusmi'u illa man yu'minu bi ayatina fahum muslimun." So only people who can hear are those who who believe in our in our sign, and there are Muslimun. So this simply means that when someone is disbeliever, their heart is dead, so they can't hear. You can talk to them physically, but they're not hearing anything. I mean, they can hear what you're saying, but it's not. It doesn't click. They don't walk with it, so it's not going to benefit them. So it's about the hearing of the benefit. That's what they interpret. They say it's about the hearing of the benefit. Sometimes you can hear something, and it doesn't benefit you. It is as if you never heard it before. For example, let's say if I said something to two people, I said, give charity to Allah, give charity so that way you could be saved and be in Jannah. And I said that to two people. One act upon it. One person took some money and gave it to charity. The other one didn't do anything. They both hear what I said, but only one act upon what I said, meaning the one executed what I said. So the one that act on it, it would benefit him, and he would cause him to enter Jannah. The one who did not walk with it, the one who did not entertain it, who didn't act upon it, it is as if he never heard it, because he didn't act upon it, so it didn't benefit him. So that's why this is one of their their way to interpret the Quran by saying Allah meant by those who believe, those hearts are alive, and those who do not believe, their heart is as dead and they can't hear anything. All right. And they also use this same thing, وَمَا أَنْتَ بِمُسْمِعٍ مَنْ فِي الْقُبُورِ, and they said, well, Allah Himself said in the Quran, you prophet, you cannot hear those who are in the graveyard. So meaning, if someone passed away, you can't hear them. Allah said explicitly in the Quran, you cannot hear those who are dead. You can't. And Allah also said in Surah Al-Fatih, verses 14, إن تدعوهم لا يسمعوا دعاءكم ولو سمعوا ما استجابوا لكم ويوم القيامة يكفرون بشرككم ولا ينبأك مثل خبير. So Allah said in this ayah, إن تدعوهم, if you call upon them, meaning because people used to call upon Jesus thinking Jesus is God. Some people would call up even an angel. They would call upon Jibril and Mikael, like those who would do a khawatim and stuff like that. Some people would call upon idols and stuff like that. So Allah is referring to those. It said, whoever you call upon, whether you're calling an angel, you're calling Jesus, you're calling idol, whatever you think, whatever you're worshiping, if you call upon them, they're not going to answer to you. That's what Allah meant by that. In tad'uhum, if you call upon those entities and you're thinking those entities are your God, for example, some people would call upon angels, some people would think Jesus is God, some people would think idols is God and stuff like that. It doesn't matter. Whatever or whoever you call upon, who you call upon beside Allah, those are not Allah, and they're not going to answer your call. So Allah said, in tad'uhum, if you call upon them, لا يسمعوا دعاءكم, they don't hear you what you're saying. وَلَوْ سَمِعُوا, even if they hear what you're saying, مَا اسْتَجَابُوا لَكُمْ, they would never respond to you. وَيَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ, and there's no doubt in the day of resurrection, يَكْفُرُونَ بِشِرْكِكُمْ, they would do kufr of your shirk, meaning they would disbelieve your association. They would completely get away from you. They would say, no, we never met you, we don't know you, we didn't tell you to worship us, we only worship one Allah. So you took us as God. We never heard you. We never put you into that spot. We never tell you to worship us. So that way they would take their distance away from you. So this is the ayah. So to show that, dead body or whoever was called up, in place of God would not hear anybody. Simple as that. So just to summarize this whole thing, I just told you some groups, some part of the scholar said, yes, that a dead body can hear when someone go visit him. And some other scholars and even some Sahaba said, no, the dead body cannot hear. So how do we reconcile, how we put all this together now? Very simple. So Qatada is one of the student of Ibn Abbas. He said, when Prophet ﷺ were passing by these dead people in the well, and he talked to them, he said, did you find what Allah promised you to be true? And Umar asked Prophet ﷺ, can they hear you? Prophet said, yes, right now they can hear me like you can hear me. So Qatada said, at that moment, Allah brought back their soul. This dead body of the Quraysh, Allah brought their soul back. They were dead completely and their soul were gone. So that they can't hear anything. But the minute the Prophet was talking to them, Allah brought their soul back. So that way they could hear what Prophet is saying. So, and there's some other hadiths that indicate when someone passed away. So in the meantime, before the soul is taken to the barzakh, to this area where the soul is kept till the end of the resurrection. Till the resurrection start. When someone passed away, his soul hang around a little bit. Before the soul goes out all the way to the barzakh, the soul hang around, but it's not in the body, but the soul itself hang around. Because one of his hadiths that when someone passed away, and when they wash, when the family washing his body, the soul would say, be gentle, be gentle. All my skin, all my body is hurting so badly, so be gentle with me. And when they carrying him to the grave, and if the soul is a good soul, he will tell them, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. My grave is a beautiful place for me, it's waiting for me. Hurry up, hurry up, I have to leave this dunya. When the soul is a bad soul, the soul would say, what is wrong with you? Why would you take me? Why are you trying to rush me? Why are you trying to rush my body to be buried? So the soul would complain while his family is taking his body to the grave. So the soul is hanging around. So whatever you're saying, the soul can hear it, but only he cannot reply to you. So this would show that the soul at the time of the death, the soul can hear you, and at the time of the questioning, at the time of the exam, when the angels would come down, when the person is buried, when the angels are coming to ask him three questions: who is your Lord? Who is your prophet? And what is your religion? Those three questions. So at that time, the soul would come to the body. So they would bring the soul and join the body, and the angel would ask him at that time. So there are certain moments when person passes away, the soul can hear, other people, but only he cannot reply. That's what Prophet meant by that. But once that time is finished, its time is elapsed, the soul is gone to the barzakh, and the body would remain in the soil. So that means even if you go visit someone in the grave and you talk to them, they cannot hear you. That's the reality. The body, a person in the graveyard, you could talk to them as much as you want, they cannot hear you, because the soul is already gone to the barzakh. That's the bottom line. So now, some people would say, well, so how come when you say salam, when you send salam to Prophet ﷺ, so Prophet could hear you? No, Prophet said, even Prophet himself cannot hear it because he's already dead. But he said, Allah used a special angel. Every time someone says salam, even if you go to Prophet ﷺ, his masjid, even though his body is inside the masjid, you go there, you say, Salamu alayka ya Rasulullah. Prophet cannot hear, he doesn't hear that. An angel would take that salam and give it to him and inform him. So meaning there's a link between an angel and prophet, not prophet and us. There's no link. So that's just a special way of how Allah Azza wa Jal, honor Prophet ﷺ. So even as a dead body, Allah used a special angels to convey the message, to convey the salam of us to Prophet ﷺ. So it's not when we talk to Prophet, the Prophet can hear us. No, Prophet cannot hear us, But Prophet said an angel would take that salam and bring it to him. You see that? You see the difference? So literally, so technically, this is just simple. A dead body cannot hear. Once you're dead, that's it. But when someone die, when someone pass away, so for the few hours, then a body, I mean, soul can hang around. So whatever you're saying, more likely the soul can, someone can, the dead body could hear it at that moment before the angels took the soul to the barzakh. When the soul is taken to the barzakh, you can come to the dead body or dead grave or whatever, talk to them, they cannot hear anything because the soul is no longer there. You see what I'm saying? All right. So that's the first point. That's the first issue. The second issue, inshallah, the second issue would be the issue of the rules and the regulation of the war booty.